as I was watching that game against Norwich City, they got to a point in the second half. We were 1-0 up, I don't know, halfway through the second half. Norwich started enjoying a little period of possession. And if you watch the review, I called it unnecessarily squeaky bum. I thought, how are we in this position? And I think what was happening was I was sort of tarnished by my history of watching West Ham. Basically, this new West Ham of the last couple of years, that wasn't powerful enough to supersede and override my years of misery as a West Ham fan. And not just, it's not so much misery, it's not like West Ham haven't given me any joy, but I think it's that expectation that the worst is just about to happen. And once I'd sort of got through it, and once I realised that Norwich weren't going to score, I started to think, well, hold on a second, that was one of those games. What we've just witnessed was one of those games where in the past, and the very recent past, we get a draw or we lose. Maybe lose is taking it a little bit too far because they didn't look like they had enough firepower to score 2 goals. But, aside from Fabianski's save, it just looks like we were inviting them onto us. And I thought, well, you know what, this team has changed massively. It really has. The mindset and the mentality of it. And it's really easy to get in so sort of entrenched in your own West Ham mindset that you forget the bigger picture of football. And even though this is a relatively new experience in terms of being up and near the top for a sustained period of time, which, as I say, has been a couple of seasons now, we've seen enough of football to know the pattern of teams up the top. And the fact of the matter is, aside from, I guess in recent times, Manchester City, when they've been absolutely dominant for the whole season, or Liverpool, when a couple of seasons ago, when they finished second, they only lost 1 game all season. In the main, teams in and around the top have a period during the season when they have a dip in form. They have a little slide. And I think we've just had ours. And it's really easy being a West Ham fan to think when you're entering that period or you're in the midst of that period that the worst is going to happen. Think, right, that's it. It's all over now. The dream's over. We've been living the dream for the past couple of years under Moyes, but now we're going to find a more reflective position in the league that's just a little bit more familiar to us as West Ham fans. But here we are again, back in 4th position. Now, granted, there's some clubs with some games in hand, but as we've already mentioned, the North London derby, they can't, Arsenal and Tottenham can't both get 6 points. They certainly can't. They both can't get 3 points on that. So something's got to give. The more you see of Man United at the moment, I know I did a video on them the other day, they're in sort of meltdown and complete capitulation. By the way, I would not be surprised at all if Ronaldo is not there at the end of this window, by the way. But anyway, that's another thing. I don't want to muddy the water too much because we're talking about West Ham, particularly that performance against Norwich. And there was a comment on the video that I think it was on the review. Someone said, I'm a bit worried. That wasn't the best performance in the world. I'm a bit worried. And I looked at it and I thought, and this is obviously post-match. We'd already won 2-0 by this point. I thought, I'm not worried by that, actually, because, again, it's so easy to put it's not your rose-tinted spectacles. It's actually, rose-tinted spectacles gives the impression that you're looking through rose-tinted, you're looking at things favourably. I think the opposite with West Ham fans. You have fear, you have trepidation, you fear the worst. And I think it's easy to look at it. I mean, we weren't very good against Norwich, I'm worried now. But actually look at it. Look at the week. Leeds, Norwich, then Leeds again. Look at what has just recently happened. Look at how we were against Watford. Look at how we were against Crystal Palace. Again, I know it got a little bit squeaky bum at the end. Unnecessarily squeaky bum towards the end against Palace. But we're getting results. And we seem to have come through that tricky patch. And now we're starting to see that players are coming back. Cresswell's just come back. Granted, we lost Souček for that game to COVID, but that was fine. Lanzini played in there. Fornals played in there. By and large, it worked. Just because we didn't beat them 5 or 6-0 doesn't mean it wasn't a good performance. Actually, it was. They threatened the goal once. Yes, I know it's Norwich, but it's not just Norwich. It's not just Norwich we played well against this season. we've beaten all the big teams as well. And I just look and I think, well, this is a really interesting period that we're on. Because if you look at it when Zuma's about to come back as well, and we're in the middle of a transfer window, just make you wonder what we can achieve this season, really does. But before I go any further, as you probably know I'm going to say, this video is sponsored by the OneFootball app. You can download the OneFootball app by clicking the link underneath this screen. The great thing about OneFootball app is, well, firstly, it's free. Secondly, what you can do is it will put all your club news together in one place for you. It's a global football app. It doesn't matter what your country is, what your club is. When you download it, you click it, you say, this is my club. In our instance, it's West Ham. What it does, it puts all the transfer gossip, all the match reports, like the one we just had against Norwich, all the injury news, every bit of news that's pertinent to West Ham, it puts it all into one place for you. That's your one-stop shop. You can even use the QR code, which it's not up there at the moment. There's actually nothing there, but I'm gonna superimpose it up there. Clever like that. And by the way, we've got a video coming later. It's 2 videos today. I'll probably release it about just after lunchtime, maybe 2-3 o'clock or something. That's not just after lunchtime, is it? That's school run time for me. It's about Declan Rice. Well, myself and Gio have pre-recorded it. I think it's an interesting video. Hopefully, you'll enjoy that. Back on to Norwich. When you look at these other clubs again, so sort of going back to viewing something from the prism of just viewing a club that's challenging at the top. I'll give you a good example. Let's talk about Leicester. Not so much this season, because they're not up to their usual standards. But over the last 4 or 5 seasons, I think you can look at Leicester as an outsider and think, oh, wow, you know, they've got some really good players there. And you sort of watching Leicester from the outside, you feel that Leicester can go to the bigger clubs. Leicester can go and give Liverpool a game or go and give Arsenal a game or whatever the case may be. I don't think you're ever surprised if, let's say, the results come in and you see it and it says Leicester 2, Chelsea 1. It's not a massive shock, is it? It's not like Grimsby 2, Chelsea 1. You just think, okay, I understand it. And I look at teams like that and wonder how they're looking at us. And I think for a little period of time, we were a bit of a one-man show. Certainly, I think under Payet, it's not like there weren't, when we had Payet, it wasn't like there were no other good players at West Ham. There were. Clearly there were. And some of them are still at the club now and actually performing really well. And namely Antonio, Cresswell and Lanzini are still there now and performing well on a weekly basis. However, I still think we sort of had one superstar player. I now think an opposition fans and other clubs look at West Ham and it's not just a case of shutting down one player. Look, Declan Rice is probably our best player, as we will discuss in the video later on. But there's an argument that our most effective player might be Bowen at the moment. There's an argument at times it might be Mikel Antonio. It might be the signing of Zuma that's made the difference. It might be Aaron Cresswell. You get my point here. Actually, there's a number of players at West Ham that we could no longer really be regarded as a one-man team. And again, that's just something else that changed. Look, I don't know what's going to happen this season. Obviously, none of us do. I don't even know what's going to happen if you'd watched the preview and the build-up. I don't even know what's going to happen in the next game. We'd all be putting a bet on it, wouldn't we, really? But it does appear that a lot of those old West Ham idiosyncrasies have been ironed out. It does appear that a lot of the stuff that would traditionally happen to West Ham, like Lukaku scoring against us, there you go, don't seem to happen so much anymore. And it is that capitulation against teams that really you should beat. And by and large, we do seem to be beating them. But I think you've got to get out of the mindset, we're never going to beat every single team. Nobody does, even Man City don't. But can we carry on this form enough to sort of challenge for fourth? I'm really surprised. I honestly, I thought we were going to drop off after we had our little stint. I thought, you know what, it's finally caught up with us. The squad depth and just everything else. I thought it's finally caught up with us. I didn't think we were going to get relegated or anything like that. I thought maybe we'll slip to sort of 7th or something like that, and maybe that'll be more reflective of where we are. I hadn't given up total hope. I thought, actually, maybe still think we can do something in Europe. However, it now looks like, Moyes has rallied the troops and we're sort of ready to go again. I also think we've handled COVID just far better than anybody else. Not just the big COVID when there was lockdown and all the rest of it, but all this other stuff where people testing positive. I think we're doing really, really well at it. And and you've only got, I think I said for a long time, we're only a few injuries away from us capitulating. Well, we've had a few injuries, and we just seem to be coming through it now. And these are not insignificant players that have been lost along the way. They're really not. I mean, we missed Bowie, we missed Antonio for a period this season. Zuma's been out, massive. We've lost Ogbonna all season. Cresswell, we've missed Cresswell. Souček was out for the last game. These are big players. Big players. What did Declan Rice? Was it 5 yellow cards, something like that? Missed a game. We're okay. We can manage it. We still need to do something in January. We still need to do something now. But this doesn't remind me of the old West Ham. And it's like something that I mentioned in when we played Leeds. When the Leeds fans, I said it on a review afterwards, Leeds fans were singing, "You're not West Ham anymore." They meant it as an insult. And they meant it about the stadium and all the rest of it. But actually, in terms of the way we play, that soft underbelly that we have, we're not West Ham anymore. We're not that plucky underdog where everyone will say, "Oh, well done, West Ham." We get a nice little pat on the head. "Oh, well played," but they would roll along and we'd roll over, have our tummy tickled, and they'd beat us. Now we're nasty. We're just not a pleasant team to play against at all. A little bit disappointed to see the diving, if I'm honest. I think we were had 3 players that took a dive, and some of them took multiple dives. That being said, I don't want to ever get to the point where I think, well, everyone else does it. Why shouldn't we do it? We've done most of this 2 years and sustained a European challenge without being too much like that. I understand you've got to play the game to a certain extent. I think we're quite good at the dark arts, particularly tactical fouls and things like that, and harassing the goalkeeper and all that type of thing. But the blatant dive, I think I'll never sit totally comfortably with me. Anyway, I mean, all in all, I think it was really good. I just noticed a few bits of disappointment in the comments after that win against Norwich. No, we got. This is not easy to play 3 games in a week, and we got through in the cup. We got 3 points there. It was all about 3 points that game. If we can get 3 points against Leeds at the weekend, and I don't think that would be easy. I really don't. And we can bring in a signing or two. It's game on. It is massively game on.